Everybody, welcome back. Joe, these outrigger pads, yeah? I didn't realise this. There's a little sign here. Like, if you don't use them and you just rely on the outrigger to spread the weight, so if you don't bother having these down, that outrigger pad puts down 12.6 kilograms per centimetre on the foot plate, right? If you use an outrigger pad, it's only 1.9 kilograms. That's a huge difference when you, I mean, I get it, it's a lot of space, but it's a massive difference when you think about it. Now today, we got some CCTV to put in. I've got to be a little bit delicate about how I can't show you everything, but over on the front of the driveway, we've got to put a post in, and there's going to be 3 cameras, one looking up the road, one looking down the road, and then one looking into this driveway here. We've got Joe who's cutting off the Cat 6 now for us. So we've got 3 runs we've got to pull in. I'll see what I can show you inside. It's a little bit limited, obviously, because of the nature of what we're doing. So I've got to try and be a little bit careful of what I can and can't show you. Let me just put your pads down and get this set up, and we'll be back in a moment. Haven't had this long. Got into our, did you hear about that? The issue we had with this? Yeah. Luckily, Joe was on hand. Joe and James were both on site, and the 3 of us managed to get out to it. But the first time I've had, I just realised, I did tell you the story, yeah. First time I got into trouble with this, and of course you're learning, aren't you? You learn these things as you go along. Pulled up, just like this. Put my pads down, happy days. Deployed the jacks, the engine was running, deployed the jacks. Now the van was on a level, sort of like that. It wasn't level, it was just off level. So I thought, no bother. I'll deploy this jack here a little bit more than the other one, and that'll level the van, which is what it says to do in the front. The van is like that, so I deployed this jack here more to bring the van level, right? But the jack on this side, I deployed it just enough so it was touching the ground, because obviously I don't want to put it all the way down because then you lift the van back. Now that was a critical mistake. Both the green lights come on to tell you the jacks are deployed. Hopped in the basket, hooked on, happy days, went up, did what I wanted to do. As the boom was swinging round this way, I can only assume, I don't know 100%, but I can only assume, because I didn't deploy that jack fully and there was a lot of weight on it, there must be a weight sensor on these jacks, I'm not sure. But as the boom was swinging round, that stabilizer, the light for the jack went off and the boom stops. And of course, you can't operate the boom. If it thinks the jack isn't deployed, it won't let you operate the boom. So I'm sort of stuck up there in the air and I'm like, right, okay, you can't, literally, though, you have no control over anything. And you can tell when you come up here, you can see, it shows you whether the jacks are deployed or not. And it was the right-hand one, the one which I put it out, but not loads, if that makes any sense. And I thought, no bother, I've got the emergency, you've got the reserve pump, the backup pump. It doesn't work because, and I don't know the ins and outs of why, but I can assume it's something to do with even the redundant backup system says, sorry, if the jack's not deployed, you can't use this. Doesn't matter whether you're in a pickle or not. If the jack isn't deployed, you can't use any of it. So I literally couldn't do anything. So I said to Joe, because Joe was there, he was working around the corner. I said, do me a favour, and just, because you have to deploy the jacks from in the cab, you don't do it from in the bucket. I said, do me a favour, just push that jack out a bit more. It won't let you do it unless the bucket is sat in the cradle. So I'm like, you can't go left and right, I can't do anything, and I can't deploy the jack. So I'm properly stuck. The only way we got around it was, it took 3 of us. I had to say to James, under here, there's a sensor. When this basket goes into the cradle, this bolt here basically hits a sensor telling it that it's now correctly in the cradle. So I had to tell James, look, get a screwdriver, hold that down. Joe, you go to the van and deploy that outrigger. As soon as he did that, the green light comes on, you can start using it again. So yeah, note to self, when you deploy them, you've got to deploy them fully. You can't, don't be gentle, you have to properly put some weight on them. But that's a learning curve, unfortunately, yeah. What we're trying to do here is trying to run this cabling as discreetly, I'll show you, as discreetly as we can. Because it is a beautiful house, and you always get this thing like when BT fitters, Sky fitters, whoever, as soon as someone runs one cable, that sets a tone, and then everybody else just follows that cable suit. So there was some existing cables here going up the back of this pipe. So we're trying to follow those and follow them around the base of the gutter. They've hidden them quite neatly around the guttering. So we're trying to follow suit because it just looks, to run 3 of these over the front, just clipping it direct, just looks bloody ugly, you know. So trying to do it as delicately as we can, if that makes sense. You ever done that before? where you're tying a bunch of cables like this, and you do this, you tighten up your zip tie, take your snips, and you're in a hurry, and you do that, and you realise you've cut through the cable you were zip tying. You ever done that? I've been there. Yeah, after 6 or 7 times you start to realise not to do it. I'm actually not a lover of running stuff behind drain pipes, and because it's not very, you know, for future maintenance it isn't ideal, but what else do you do, you know? I mean, these are cast iron, I think these would be here for the next 100 years, but there's not really another way of doing it, you know? Trying to preserve the look of the building, you've got to try and be a little bit creative with how you run all your cabling, you know? That's the other thing. Somebody was saying, I'm using this stretchy harness, you know, the one I was questioning whether you should use it in buckets. Somebody was saying that if you've done your iPath, which we have, you should know about all these harnesses anyway, but that's not how it works. When you go and do an iPath course, they literally tell you, you want a qualification for a 1B, and they'll tell you, that is the harness you've got to use for that vehicle. That's literally it. So I understand why people would think you should know all of this, but you don't, because on the courses, they don't teach you, they just don't teach you all of that. Well, that was certainly the experience in the course we did. It was just, that's your harness, that's your vehicle, that's how you do it. There was no ifs and buts, it was very clear cut. But it did leave a lot of questions, like all this sort of stuff. But a lot of you were very kind, you did answer it, thank you. Apparently it's if you're working close to the ground, if you fall out, there is a possibility you'll actually hit the ground before the cord fully extends. So with Joe up there in the bucket now, we're just putting these, we're trying to neatly hide these cables underneath the underside of the soffit. They're going to come down here, but we've got to get them across this path. These flagstones have got to come up. I might try take up this larger one, or we've got 3 smaller ones here, but I think it might actually cause more damage taking these up. So let me see if I can take this one up, and hopefully it won't crack.
A few moments later.
Alan Titchmarsh, I am not. That's it. Sorry, Wormy, but you're going to die if you go in there, mate. I'm telling you, you will die. All right? I'm trying to help you. You're a fat worm. I just feel so at one with nature right now. Sorry, worm. These are 3 Cat 6s. So, I'm just going to run these directly under here, like so. I'm joking, I just thought I'd shit everybody up there for a moment, don't worry. Like a little joke. I've got some conduit in the van, 2 minutes. That's about it, actually. It's tight down. FYI, 3 data cables down a 20 mil is the most you'll get.
12 seconds later.
Tom digging a hole. Carefully, he assesses the ground. It's fucking stone. What is that? Shall go to the left. We were going to put like a streetlight column in. You can get them for CCTV. We decided it's not going to look very sightly here. We want to try and keep it in keeping with all the bushes and shrubbery. So what we're going to do, Joe's just gone out to Selco now to pick up 4x4 post. We're going to put a 4 metre 4x4 post in. We'll sink it down a metre. But what we're going to do in the ground, you can get the post columns. It's like a green square. You dig a hole, you put that in the ground, you then put postcrete around it, and then basically you can get your 4x4 post. And when it rots at the bottom, you can just swap it out and change it. Once you put the postcrete in, the post will be good for about 10 years, but you can swap the post out later is the main thing. And then the customer can stain it to blend in with everything else. Because I just think a galvanised pole here is just going to look butt ugly. But I've got to dig the hole first. Excellent sound when digging. Right, what we have, bag of postcrete. This stuff, if you're putting posts in, is fantastic because you don't have to mix it. You know, like traditional concrete where you have to mix it in a bucket. This you don't have to, you literally just pour that as it is, you just pour it in neat, straight into the hole, get a garden hose and basically just pour a load of water on it and it just seeps through and it just sets like concrete. So it's really good for this sort of stuff. Joe's got the 4x4 post and that's what we're going to use, one of them. And that basically just goes straight into said hole, something like that. That'll just go in there. So you see people and they just put the post like this, they just put it straight in the ground. But obviously that's a real pain when it comes to replacing it. If you use this method, it's just better. So we're going to put that in there, stick that in and fill it with water. Right. If you didn't know better, you'd think I'd done that before, wouldn't you? Fill the hole a third deep with water, done. Place the post in the hole evenly around the post until no standing water is visible, position and level. Done. All right, and that is that. What do you call that bit? The post thingy. That's now in. It's a doddle to fit. You just literally drop that straight in, just level it up, and that's it. You come back to that in the. I think this actually dries really fast. In about an hour, that'll be set. But we're done here today because it looks like it's about to pour down with rain. So we're just going to coil this cable up, which Joe's actually got here. So we'll just coil that up and that'll be us till the morning.
Day 2.
Right, this is day 2. This was the post that we picked up yesterday. And actually looking at it, I think this was the better way to do it, rather than put a stainless post in. A, because stainless posts are really expensive, and also I think it just blends in nicer. That fits like a glove, and that's the plan. It will sit in there like that, tighten those 2 bolts up, and that's it. He can just varnish it or something to whatever he wants. Happy days. I'm quite pleased with that, yeah. You'd almost think we knew what we were doing, you know? Give us 5. I've got to drill the tops out because the cameras have got to sit on the top of the post now. So let me drill those out and we're back in a sec. Yeah, so that's the plan. We've got a 25mm hole on the front there for 1 cam. I'm using the same ones as last time, these 4K Reolinks. I just love them. They're such good bits of kit. So one will sit on the post like that, facing one way down the drive, and another one will sit that side. And then on the underside, or on the back side of the post, I should say, will be a box like that. Just picked up a 4-inch box to go with the width of the post. And the cables will just cut a hole in the back there and we'll just terminate them in there. And then you'll just have a 25mm Copex, which you saw us running yesterday, which will just clip up the back of the post. And that way you get a nice, hopefully a nice neat finish. Right people, so we had some all-round band here which was holding these cables back. So I've undone that. And these are the existing, he's got 7 other cameras at this property. So that goes into the DVR here. I've turned the screen off because I don't want to show you the rest of it. But basically, these are the 3 that we've just dragged in, which you saw yesterday. These go out to the post outside, so I've terminated those with, I must admit, this is actually James's RJ45 connector doofer tool. That really is such a beautiful bit of kit to use. I'll try and leave a link for it, but Klein Tools it is, that one there, that really is a good bit of kit. So I can thoroughly recommend that if you're doing these all day. So those are now on. I'm going to go outside and see what Joe's up to, because I did leave him he was fitting the cameras, but I'm not sure what he's doing now. So I'm going to go outside and have a look. And I'll tell you what, before I do that, I'll disconnect this one. I'll put the Reolink hard drive in here and I'll show you that bit. Right, one of the problems is the original DVR that the client had wasn't a Reolink system. So what's happened is we fitted a Reolink DVR now, or an NVR actually. And of course it doesn't like the existing cameras because it's a different protocol. On this one you've only got an option of IP or OnVIF, that's it. And the other protocol, which these cameras was, oh God, what was it? NP, I don't know. Either way, I've tried every configuration and they just don't want to marry up to this Reolink hard drive, which is a bloody pain. So what I've done, Joe's just gone back to the unit now because I've got a box full of brand new Reolink cameras, so we're just going to have to swap it. It's easy enough to swap the cameras out, but I'll just go, they're actually better cameras than what he's got here now, so I'm going to have to go around with the truck now, take the old cameras out, and I'll just put some Reolink ones in, and that's it, job done. He's then got a full 4K system then everywhere. So this is the old cams that are here, but these I have tried everything to get them to work with that DVR, and these just don't. I don't think the customer minds actually having a Reolink upgrade. At least he gets 4K cams then. We've already got the cable there, so it's literally just click, click, plug, play. Not sure what to make of those. Leave it below if you know the reason why. Because I'd have thought, even though the problem is cross-branding, and I understand it, manufacturers, when you have an NVR or something, they want you to use their cameras and they lock everything, but there must be a way around this. Put it below if you know the answer. I'd really appreciate it, because I've tried everything I can think of, every combination and configuration. Just doesn't want to know. But leave it below if you know. I'd appreciate your input. Right team, so what we're doing, this is as far as we've got. So these are the cams. What I'm doing is I've just put the post down like this so we can mount the cams. I can terminate the RJ45 connectors onto these, and then once I've got all of this neatly, I put a slightly bigger box on, so once these are all terminated, these can just go in the box neatly, and then I can put the post up rather than terminate all of these up in the air. So let me terminate these jacks. I won't do it. We've done doing it with Tom on how to terminate these. So I'm going to terminate these now. I'm not going to bother showing you. And once it's done and this is up in the air, we'll come back, I guess.
A few inches later.
This is actually about 30 seconds later. Did my total lack of enthusiasm come through then? I feel it may have done. It's not intentional. It's just I hate terminating RJ45. I would rather stick pins in my eyes than do this. It's literally one of the things there are some people that don't mind it. I haven't got the patience for it. That's the problem. I've got a reasonable amount of patience, but not for this. Right, that's those two in. So those are all connected up, boxes on. I think that was definitely the right option to put a wooden post in instead of having having the galvanized steel ones. I think that just blends in so much nicer. It just looks nicer, I think. So, and they can always swap the post out in, you know, 8-10 years when it rots. They can just pull it out and drop a new one straight in. But I'm pleased with that. I think that looks properly nice. Ah, that reminds me. Somebody was asking, I don't know which comment, somebody was saying in the comments about, it seems like a waste to buy brand new for vehicles and stuff. This truck, I think, was what you were referring to. I bought this new for 2 reasons. A, it's just tax efficient. It makes sense to buy, if you're buying for a business and you're VAT registered, it just makes sense. And also the cost of these vans, these hold their value immensely well. I was looking on eBay. You can get 10-year-old Ford Transit, 107,000 miles, 90 brake horsepower, no air conditioning. That is only a 12.5 metre boom, so smaller than this boom. They still wanted, I think, 33,000 plus VAT. I mean, it's huge money for what's basically a 10-year-old van, and it's not ULEZ exempt, and this is. So for that reason, it just makes no sense. For these particular vehicles, it's just better to buy new. It doesn't make sense to buy a second-hand one. So that was the reason why, if anyone was wondering. Right, now, I've not done this before. Right, I've got to regrout all of this here. Obviously, this is where we took it up to run the Copex and the pipe in underneath and stuff, and I've got to try and make it good. The customer did say, look, don't worry too much, you know. So I have some water. We have some general purpose mortar, which apparently is perfect for this, which is what the man in Wick said. And you've got to mix it, right, 100 mil to a kilo. So we got 5 kilos. So we want about half a litre of water. I'm gonna say about there. Very accurate. I was just born to do this. I think we need a stirring implement of some sort. Back in a mo. Oh yeah. My genius just knows no bounds. Sometimes I even surprise myself. I've got a feeling I may have put more than half a litre in. That's better. No, false alarm. Who thought that looking at mortar being turned in a pot could be so satisfying? You know when apprentices are in college and their first years and they think being an electrician is like fitting sockets above a kitchen worktop. It really isn't, I can assure you. Do you think it needs to be stiffer than that, or?
That's what she said.
I'm not a bricklayer. To be honest, it's a little tense filming this. Obviously, all the best tools here. Oh yeah, I just feel so at home right now. Leaving electrics behind. Oh yeah, Alan Titchmarsh, eat your heart out. It's just born to do this. Thomas Nagy Limited. Groundworks. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Builders all around the world are looking, thinking, fuck, I need him. Shirley, get me his number. The man of many talents. This is the moment the customer says, can I have a 4th cable out the front, please? No, actually. Right, we're done. Landscaping finished, cameras in, posters in. I'm properly pleased with the end result of that. But thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments, good, bad, indifferent, chuck it all below. Links are all coming up on the screen now. We love you loads. See you in a week, probably 2, most probably 3.